A good writer must also be a good reader. So, fellow writers, I should say, what have you been reading these days, and what lessons can you learn from it to apply to your own writing? Hey, it's Sam with a Friday video for you. Just yeah, just a regular Friday for me. I'm not gonna spend too long on life updates. If you've been following my videos, you know I started querying again after a pause. I've sent out two queries this past week for my novel, and I hope to send out many more in the weeks to come. So obviously no news yet. They don't get back to you that fast, but yeah, we'll see if anything comes of these. So anyway, what have you been reading these days? I want to tell you my latest fiction read, and we'll talk about it and see what we can learn. Um, this is Exile by Peter Clines. It's part of a series I've enjoyed called the X Heroes series. The first book was called X Heroes, and they're all called X something. This is basically superheroes in a zombie apocalypse. So it's a world where like Marvel or something where superheroes already existed, and then the zombie apocalypse broke out, and now the superheroes kind of head up a small community of survivors amid the apocalypse. So superheroes and zombies together. What more could you want? I started reading it a few years ago because a friend of mine told me, I'm writing a prose novel about superheroes, which is relatively uncommon, not unheard of these days. But superheroes originated in comic books, and now they're getting big on they are big on the big screen. There's not as much of an audience for prose about superheroes. At least there hasn't been up to this point. But my friend told me to check it out, so I checked it out, um, and have read the whole series now. So yeah, this is book five of five. And I will say, I mean, okay, part of what bothered me. I mean, this isn't like a literary flaw or anything. Just me as a reader being disappointed. I think this is the last book. Okay, it is the last one that's out. I don't know if it's the last one he's ever going to write. Um, it's just, yeah, it's book five of five, and the ending was, I mean, it was. I wouldn't say it was inconclusive, like it wasn't a cliffhanger, but it also didn't feel like the series had to end there. It was like this book was one episode in their life. One episode in their ongoing quest for survival, but it wasn't like a concluding arc for all the characters. Like things didn't change dramatically. There wasn't two major characters had by the end of this book had like just things they had endured. They didn't die, but some of them had like um, life threatening or at least serious injuries they were recovering from, that they probably will recover from, but it's just it'll take time, and what didn't know if there's going to be another book after that. There's one character who the reader knows a secret about her, but she doesn't know the secret yet. Um, so I was like, when is that going to be resolved? When is she going to find that out? And it hasn't been resolved yet. So I was like, is there another one coming? I don't know that for sure. This book came out in 2016, so 8 years ago. So I'm like, yeah, I don't know if he's going to do another one. I mean, maybe he will. Who knows? But yeah, this is the last one for now, and it ended again not inconclusively, but not as conclusively as I would have hoped for a series. I did read something the authors know, in not in this one, but one of the other ones in this series. The author said he knows. I forget the exact word, but like he knows not to expect more than you're promised from a publisher or whatever. So I guess I don't know what his original contract was. If he had three books, and then he was like, I wasn't sure if I'd be able to do a fourth and a fifth, but he did, and so I guess I guess there's no promises for a sixth one. I don't know if he wants to do one and just needs to find a publisher or something. I don't know, but he's being realistic about that. The publishing world can be tough, and there's no promises of a sixth book. So anyway, um, I've enjoyed the series. I thought the first three books were like really amazing. They're obviously not high literature, but as far as entertaining, enjoyable fiction, I would give them 5 out of 5. Um, these last couple didn't grab me as much, but I still would say like 4 out of 5 probably. Book four, I did a review of book four a while back. It was like a kind of in a dream world. The heroes were in a dream world for most of it, and so it was confusing, and it kind of didn't feel like their real life. And I was like, yeah, that's a gimmick we've all seen in superhero shows, but it's not what I want to read about for a whole novel really. And this one was good though. I'll tell you what happened in this one. They were, let's see, the survivors. So it's mainly, let's see, there's four main-ish characters. Saint George is one on the cover here. He's called the Mighty Dragon. He has super strength and flying, and he can breathe fire, so he has dragon-like powers. And then there's a character named Zap who can like transform his body into living energy, and he like basically lightning. He can fly around the world at top speeds because he becomes living lightning. When he's in his human form, he's disabled. He has a wheelchair, but when he's lightning, he can do all kinds of stuff. So that's pretty cool. And then oh yeah, here's the other thing. That's not completely resolved. One of the main characters, her name is Danielle. She's called Cerberus because she had like this huge battle armor suit that was called the Cerberus. But that suit was destroyed in book four. I'd forgotten that, but yeah, a big part of this one was about her trying to rebuild her suit, and she's in the process of it, but it takes time and resources are scarce in the apocalypse, and so that hasn't been resolved. Like she was in this one as a major character, but she wasn't like her superhero self with the big suit. There is a character who kind of took over the suit, the new prototype of the new one, who has the ability to like possess technology. So he doesn't wear the suit. He like possesses it with his mind. And I'm like, maybe it's one of those things where they're like he's the successor and he's being appointed as a new Cerberus, but so far it's not like it's not conclusive for her for that character's arc either. I felt like for Danielle's arc, but anyway, and then there's Stealth, who's like a ninja, who's like kind of the Batman figure as far as like predicting every possibility and keeping tabs on everything just to make and every eventuality. And she's really cool. She actually wasn't in this one much, just because the characters just are spread out and they're doing different things. And Stealth was in this one not very much, but for the series, those have been the four main characters. Anyway, the main plot of this one is Barry and Saint George. Barry is Zap. They go to a man-made island that Barry found in the middle of the ocean, they found like all these boats kind of strung together, and there's hundreds of survivors living there on an island. So some of them were cruise boats, like some of them were big boats, and of course, if you watched Walking Dead or anything like that, or any zombie show, I guess, then you kind of know when you're approaching a community of survivors, you don't know if they're going to be hostile or not. You don't know what's going to happen. There could be people in need of help. They could be really bad people. So the superheroes kind of go to check it out, and they take one other character with them named Corpse Girl. She's a girl who is dead somehow, but not a zombie. Actually, the somehow has been revealed. That's a secret that the reader knows, but the character doesn't know. She's actually like nanotechnology, reanimating her body. So she's not even alive. She's nanotechnology, basically taking the form of a human girl, and she doesn't know that. She she thinks she's alive. Anyway, it's weird, but sci-fi. There you go. Um, Anyway, the corpse girl is with them, and Barry and Zap are on the main plot of this novel, and they go to this man-made island and to see if they need help or to see if there's what kind of community is there. Minor spoilers, but figure you can guess. There is some hostility there. The island is led by a supervillain who's like he's called Nautilus. He's like I guess kind of an Aquaman, like a water creature. He can transform into a sea monster kind of creature, and he kind of rules their community with an iron fist and feeds them propaganda to keep them subjugated and all that stuff. So yeah, he threatens them and captures the heroes, and they have to fight back. So it's a good superhero adventure. Again, I mean, it was one adventure. It didn't seem like the conclusion of everything to me, but it was a fun a fun adventure, another look into this world and these characters, um, and just finding two of my favorite like story elements being tied together. Superheroes and zombies being tied together in one book. That's just a lot of fun and a lot of cool to see how. And also as a superhero writer myself, it's cool to see how another writer would handle those things yeah, and, and just how he like describes things like powers and how just the physics of those worlds combine and all the logistics to think about how people's powers would interact with zombies and just how witty dialogue and things like that, and funny moments can come in the midst of these life or death scenarios. So it's been a fun read. Um, yeah, I'd say the last like two chapters of this one I thought were just excellent writing, and they didn't have much to do with the main plot. One of them was a flashback to, I guess, in the early days of the apocalypse, and it was just, again, superheroes trying to keep order and rescue people from zombies. Um, and so it was a flashback. It didn't have much to do with the main plot, and there was like one man who had gotten bit. He was dying, and he didn't want his family to see. He's concerned about that. Like part of what they do on Walking Dead and stuff is like, can someone die with dignity, before they turn into a zombie? And a bunch of people just wanted to shoot the guy because he is going to turn into a zombie. But he had a wife and daughter, and they were like, no, don't hurt him. And what St. George, the hero, came along and did was he like let the guy say goodbye to his family, and then he flew him up to a remote location, like on a rooftop of a building somewhere, so that when he turns, he won't hurt anyone, and he can die with dignity without his family having to see what he turns into as a zombie. And I'm like, this is like this is this is humanity in a broken world, and like humanity in a world that's otherwise hopeless. And this is like many zombie stories. It's about trying to find a hope and life in a world that doesn't have much hope or life left in it. And I was like, this is just really powerful, and the emotions are strong. So that was near the end of this book. I thought it was excellent, and then the last chapter was just, I think, St. George reuniting with Stealth because they're an item, and kind of looking to the future, and feeling and kind of being like, we don't have enough. We can't do everything. We're short on the food. We don't have enough resources to do everything that and like meet all the needs we want to in the community. But we're trying, and we're not giving up. And we still have hope for tomorrow. That's kind of like where I thought, like, man, I wish there was another book because they leave it open ended, but that's okay. So really good book, really good series. If you want to read it, if that sounds like up your alley at all, don't start with this one. This is book 5. Look up X Heroes by Peter Clines. The first book is called X Heroes. Um, Again, I think the first 3 are excellent. I've enjoyed them all, but I really, really love the first 3. Um, and yeah, it's a fun read. What takeaways from my writing? What would I give? I don't know. I said this before, but I mean, what makes a story is humanity. I mean, even in a world where there's superheroes and zombies, it sounds realistic, and to some people it even sounds silly or frivolous. But there's humanity and real human struggle and real human emotion in this world. So you know, you have what I say, realistic people or ordinary people in extraordinary circumstances. So you have, you know, people who have normal personalities, and they somehow got powers, and they somehow became like the leaders in the zombie apocalypse. But they're ordinary people doing ordinary work in the midst of a crazy scenario. So that's what makes good, compelling fiction, and we all strive for that in some way, I think. But yeah, one series that's doing it well. Check out the X Heroes series by Peter Clines. Thanks for listening and watching, and have a great weekend, everyone. Bye.